All right, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the off season. And I thought it would be a good idea to start the off season with a discussion of on the most basic of levels, on the most like overhead, trying to see the whole picture way, figure out what the needs are and what the degree of the need is. So we're going to start things off by taking a look at every position on a football team that the Seahawks have, every position on the Seahawks. And we're going to take things as they are right now. And we're going to try to figure out how big is the need, if there is a need. Sometimes we're going to look at a position and be like, okay, we're good. That's cool. But we're going to take a look at each position and we're going to say, okay, is there a need? And if there is a need, how big is the need? Because obviously we have cap space, but we don't have infinite cap space. We have draft picks, but we don't have infinite draft picks. So we need to figure out what we're going to address and how. I think that, with all the picks that we have, you could say that the Seahawks could address 4, 5, maybe even 6 immediate needs with their picks in this draft alone. And then maybe you say, okay, we can address 2, maybe 3 other needs with our money, either via retaining a free agent or bringing in a new free agent. And then maybe you're even able to fill one need via like really low pick or UDFA. We've certainly managed to do that before on this team. So I'm not ruling that out. But let's take a look. And this is a chart that I've made just very recently based off the most recent information. And one thing I really want to stress right now, for the purposes of this video, we are taking the team as it is, which is to say, when the league year rolls over in March, who is going to be under contract? We have a long list of outgoing free agents. We have a list of restricted free agents who are still not under contract with us. We're not looking at that. All right. We're not. I think pretty much everybody out there can assume, oh, we're going to bring Michael Jackson back. We're going to bring back Ryan Neal. Those guys are restricted. Godwin Igwebuike is a ERFA. We're almost definitely going to bring him back. I understand that. But we are taking the team as it is going into this league year. You can feel like we're going to bring back a guy like Geno Smith. That's fine. But as of right now, no. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look. Let's start with the positions where I feel like there is no need, where we're good. We don't need to spend any real capital on this position in the offseason. I have 6 positions. Tight end, we have 3 tight ends under contract. It doesn't make sense to move off of any of them, either financially or because of their level of play in 2022. So, no, we're good. Left tackle, right tackle. We have 2 second-year tackles who are starting and played well in 2022. And then we also have 2 young backups in Forsyth and Curhan, who the team seems to at least like to a certain degree. And look, both those guys are young. They're entering their 3rd year still. They could get better. And at the end of the day, they're just backups. So you go with it. So left tackle, right tackle, no need. Cornerback. Outside cornerback, you've got Tariq Woolen, who got all pro votes in 2022. You've got Mike Jackson, who played really well in coverage. You've got Trey Brown, who basically took the year off. And you've got Pete Carroll. So put all those things together. I don't see any reason why we would consider cornerback, outside cornerback, to be a need going into this season. So we don't need to spend any capital there. Excuse me. Free safety. Quandre Diggs played well enough at the end of the year to pretty much solidify his position on this team. Financially, it would be expensive to move off of him. And other than when he broke his leg now 2 years ago, he has played every snap. He played every snap before he got injured in 2021, and he played every snap period in 2022. And we probably have somebody back there who is at least semi-intriguing. Like, it could be a Joey Blunt. Somebody like that. He'll probably make the roster. There could be a couple other guys who make the roster and are the backup free safety and are at least a little bit interesting. So free safety, no need. Punter, also no need. Michael Dixon is locked up on that contract for at least a couple more years, and he just had almost his best year. So, yeah, financially and in terms of the players that we have, for all these different reasons, I see no need to think about any of these positions. Okay, now we move on to low need, and these are positions where we could use a little bit of attention. We could bring back somebody, we could draft somebody, sign somebody, but it's low on the list of priorities because, again, you have a limited amount of resources to improve your team in the offseason. You can't do everything. So, with that in mind, there are 3 positions that I listed here. And we have running back, we have left guard, and we have, this will be controversial, but I'll try to explain the best that I can, edge rusher. So let's dive in here. Running back, we just spent a second-round pick on K9, and he had a great rookie year, and he looks really, really good. And DJ Dallas came along pretty well at the end of the year and was playing very effectively. We were starting to use him in those wildcat formations. And you put those 2 things together, and I feel like we're okay. Now, we do need more, but the more that we need should be easy to get. If we feel like we can want to bring back Rashad Penny, we can do that for a few $1,000,000. And Penny will be in a position where he won't have to play a ton. He'll just play some. And if he gives us, 120 carries over the course of the year and remains efficient like he usually is when he plays, that's fine. Now, even then, I think we could go draft somebody because I don't think Travis Homer will be back. But again, just like Penny will be cheap, that draft pick, the running back that you draft could also be like a 5th-round pick or a 6th-round pick, and it's fine. There are good running backs in day 3 of the draft every single year. You just have to find them. So as of right now, I think running back is a low need because you have your starter. You have your quote-unquote bell cow. But we need to do a little something there. I also have left guard. Damian Lewis had a good year at left guard. I'm happy with him. I'm fine with him starting. But as of right now, I don't think we really have a backup. Kyle Fuller might be the backup, and he's about to be a free agent. Phil Haynes might be the backup, and he's about to be a free agent. And then it might be like Jake Curhan, who is not a guard. So we need a backup left guard behind Damian Lewis. And Damian Lewis has gotten hurt a little bit in his career. Damian Lewis is not somebody who's an Iron Man, so you do need depth. So I'm definitely thinking about getting a backup left guard at some point this offseason. Doesn't have to be a great player, just needs to be somebody competent, somebody who can do it without falling flat on their face. And finally, edge rusher. Some people would say our pass rush was so bad last year, this should be higher, and maybe it should. However, again, there's only so much you can spend on your team to improve it in the offseason. And bottom line is, we have 2 edge rushers that got to 9.5 sacks in 2023, in 2022, that are under contract in 2023. We also have Boye Mafe, who is under contract for the next few years, who played fairly well and is on track to get much better because of his low level of experience playing football. So that alone makes edge rusher kind of an iffy area of need. And then you throw in a guy like Alton Robinson. So I don't see edge rusher as a big need. Now, if you wanted to address edge rusher high, like let's say you have the opportunity to draft Will Anderson, and then you do. I'm not against it, but at that point you might need to move somebody like a Darrell Taylor. You might need to say, okay, we need to recoup a little bit of draft value here. We need to make room for a guy like a Will Anderson to play. And if we're going to say that Nwosu's a full-time starter and Mafe is going to grow into that role in 2023, which we expect, I think, then I think you need to say, all right, Darrell Taylor, you're the odd man out. Or I guess maybe you just completely cut yourself off from Alton Robinson. That would be okay too. But if you decide to address the position heavily, you're probably going to need to move a piece to make room. So that's why I say I cannot consider edge rusher to be a big need when the reality is the improvement in the edge rush room is supposedly going to be in-house with Mafe. Like, he is supposed to get much better in 2023 because of his low level of experience playing football. Okay, medium need. I've got 4 positions here. Wide receiver, right guard, slot corner, and strong safety. Let's go through it. Wide receiver, the top of the depth chart is awesome. Metcalf and Lockett, money. One of the best receiver tandems in the league. A lot of teams would love to have a 1 and 2 like Lockett and Metcalf. But Lockett's getting a little bit older, and eventually, I think sooner rather than later, that's going to become an issue. And Metcalf, I think we're all kind of holding our breath, aware of the fact that he had injury problems in college that could come back. And then behind those 2 guys, you've got very little. Cade Johnson came on strong at the end of the year a little bit, but do we want to bet our future on Cade Johnson? Derek Young? No, not those guys. Like, I like him, but I can't count on him. Goodwin's a free agent. As of right now, he's not here. And after that, you've got your practice squatters. Penny Hart. Bo Melton's not even here anymore, actually. He's not even a practice squatter anymore. But if you did bring him back from Green Bay, if they released him this offseason, you brought him back, I still wouldn't want to count on him. Maybe you could go get a guy like an Aaron Fuller, but none of these guys are really moving the needle. So we have a clear need at wide receiver, at least with the depth. And we probably need a starting 3rd receiver at the very least. Right guard, also a clear need. Phil Haynes, I believe, is a free agent. Gabe Jackson is currently under contract, but he's just not good anymore. And even if he was good, he can only play like half the game before his knee breaks down. So we need a right guard either way, honestly. Now, I think we all hope that Gabe Jackson will be released or will retire this offseason. I think we all kind of hope that happens. But even if he doesn't, even if he's still here in 2023, I still say we need to address right guard pretty seriously because we know he can't play the whole game. And Kyle Fuller is probably the backup. He's a free agent too. And then you've got Jay Curhan, who is not a guard. Slot cornerback. Right now we've got Kobe. Kobe played okay in 2022 at slot, but that's not his best position. And you noticed it sometimes. He got beat a lot. He gave up, by my count, like 650 yards in coverage. And this was a guy who was not on the field full time. If he played as much as typical slot corners in the modern NFL, probably would have been like 850 or 900. And at the end of the day, I think that this team could use a slot corner that is actually meant for the position. So I'm thinking about somebody like Hodges Tomlinson at TCU or Phillips III at Utah in the draft. Or maybe you go get somebody in free agency. Either way, I'd like somebody whose skill set is made for the slot position. Strong safety. Ryan Neal apparently is restricted, so it should be actually fairly easy to bring him back. But for the moment, we haven't. So you've got Jamal Adams. I think he'll be back, ready to go, and I'm really excited to see what he can do next year. But you know he's not going to play the whole season. If you're lucky, he misses a few games here and there, and he's there when you need him at the end of the year. But you also have to be prepared for the worst. So if you decide to go with Jamal Adams in 2023, which I would do, you do need a backup plan behind him. If that backup plan is Ryan Neal, then we're good. That'll be really easy to address. Just slap the restricted tag on Ryan Neal. It's not going to cost that much money. And thank you, drive forward. But if you don't, or if somebody else picks him up anyway, you need to bring in another strong safety. And Jonathan Abram, I guess, could be that guy. But I think you need to go a little bit better than that, maybe. Somebody who's a little more versatile, especially if you're going to run the Fangio defense. Okay, so that brings us to the final category, the positions of big-time need. The positions that you really need to hit if you're going to be good in 2023. And I have 6 of them, and I think they're all pretty obvious. But let's just go ahead and go through it and talk our way through it. We have quarterback, center, nose tackle, defensive end, linebacker, and kicker. All right. I feel like most of these things are pretty obvious, and I think just about any Seahawks fan would agree with them. But let's just go ahead and talk our way through it. Quarterback, Geno Smith and Drew Lock are both free agents. As of right now, we don't have a quarterback under contract, I don't think. And if we do, it's the guy on the practice squad. What's his name? I can't remember the name of our practice squad quarterback off the top of my head, but I mean, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. Levi Lewis, is he still around? Yeah, need a quarterback. Center. We don't have a center on the roster going into 2023. Blythe is a free agent. Fuller's a free agent. As of right now, we'd probably have to bump Damian Lewis over to center. And who wants to move his position again? Not me. So, need a center in the worst way. Nose tackle. Brian Monet, I imagine he'll be released this offseason unless the injury makes it impossible for us to. And even if we don't, he's not very good. That signing was the one significant mistake we made this offseason, I think. So, yeah, Brian Monet, not good enough. Al Woods probably should retire. If he does come back, he's somebody who should play sparingly. And I don't even know if he's big enough, and at this point, will he be strong enough to be a nose tackle in a 3-4. So we need a new nose tackle. Defensive end, you take a look at the current defensive end room. And again, I'm talking about things in a 3-4 mindset. Poona Ford's a free agent. Quentin Jefferson may or may not be back. For the moment, he is under contract, and he's okay, but nothing special. You've got, who else? You've got LJ Collier. He's a free agent and almost certainly going to be gone. Miles Adams might be back, might not be back, but if he does come back, he's not somebody you're going to play a ton of snaps. Who else? You've got Shelby Harris. Okay, he's pretty good. I like Shelby Harris. He's all right. But at this point in his career, not really any kind of a stud. And arguably shouldn't even really be starting in the NFL. I don't know. Like, I look at this defensive line in terms of the ends, and I go, okay, Quentin Jefferson and Shelby Harris. You look at those two guys, and you're like, okay, they can play, but they probably shouldn't be playing more than like 45% of the snaps. You got to bring in some really good defensive ends who can play a majority of the game, even if it's just a small majority of the game, and can be more destructive than guys like Jefferson and Shelby Harris. So that's a high need for me. Linebacker, middle linebacker. Right now, we don't know if Jordan Brooks is going to be ready for 2023, so we're talking about no Cody Barton and no BBK. They're both free agents. So you've got Tanner Muse and... Is Tanner Muse even under contract? I don't actually think that he is. So you've got literally nothing. John Radigan? Yeah, you need one. So, yeah, linebacker, that's going to be an area. You might need to bring in 2 more starters. That's possible. You might bring back Cody Barton because he's going to be cheap, and at the very least, he's a good special teamer. Maybe you can say that Brooks will be back for October, but even if you do both of those things, you need to bring in another good player because the Brooks and Barton tandem just mostly didn't work that well. It worked best when Barton was off the field because we were able to play nickel. Can't keep doing that. So, linebacker, look, even if Brooks comes back, I think we all kind of know that he's just not that good. And I don't see him coming back past this upcoming season. Really, this is going to be his 4th year. I don't think we're picking up the option. And I'm not seeing anything from him that tells me he's worth more than, I don't know, $5-6 million a year. And maybe there's another team out there that can utilize him better than we can. Or maybe we'll get more talent around him and we'll be able to utilize him better. There are so many limitations with Jordan Brooks, though. So you've got to at least start planning for the inevitability of him moving on. And even if you plan on making him your starting linebacker for the next 5 years, you still need to bring in another guy. Barton's a free agent. BBK's a free agent. I'm pretty sure guys like Tanner Muse and Alexander Johnson are free agents. John Radigan might be the only guy left. Really. And finally, kicker. Jason Myers is a free agent. We don't have a kicker. Technically, actually, I think we don't have a long snapper either, but that should be easy enough to deal with. That's fine. That's whatever. So, that's it. That's the way I see it right now. Let me know if you guys strongly disagree with any of this. Let me know if you guys feel a different way. But I think I've explained things about as good as I can. So you're talking about 6 big needs, 4 medium needs, and 3 low needs. However, when you start looking at it in a little bit more detail, it's never as daunting as it seems. Like, strong safety, that is going to be as easy as putting a tag on Ryan Neal. The restricted tag on Ryan Neal, boom, taken care of. We're good. Right guard. Right guards are everywhere. You pick one up who's competent, boom, good. Okay? You see what I'm saying here? It's not that hard to start knocking these things off to the no-need category. Okay, so that's it. That will give us a starting point for the offseason, and that will give us a starting point for the upcoming video uploading schedule, which I may be sharing with you in the coming days. But first, we're going to take care of the good vibes. We're going to address the positive vibes from this most recent season. So, see you guys over the next several days with that upcoming series.